Hello and welcome. My name is Teretrix Wargaming, and in today's video we'll be making an Ainz Ooal kit bash / conversion from a Primaris chaplain. Now it's quite a long video, so get a nice beverage and drink along. Over the next couple of weeks and days I will be releasing the base, how I made the base, because there'll be different base I'll be making, and how I'll be painting the model. This one is just setting up and building him, as it's quite a fiddly one. I will have a lot of time lapses, and it'll be a bit jittery sometimes in some sections. Now I hope you enjoy it. Please comment, like and subscribe, all that stuff, but comment mainly about if you enjoyed it, what you think should be added on, and how you think it should go. Thank you very much. And let's start with the video. We start off with the unpacking of the Primaris chaplain. Within this stage we will be cutting him down to size, and so cutting all the spruce off him, and as well filing him down. Not spruce. And we'll be filing him down throughout it. Now some of these sections are glued together. I glued some together and as well used blue tack just so I could have a little leeway with it in case I had any problems later on. Now this will be time lapse, as I said, and a bit jittery in stages, but along with the time lapses of cutting it and getting it all prepped. After the prepping stage has been handled and completed, we'll move over to the pauldrons, which is the bone and orb on his shoulder. The bone part is used from the Citadel Skulls collection, and we're using the demon skull within it, as this one has got indentations already done inside of it, and the indentations are quite good as they aid us in cutting a clean cut, to have two equal cuts the same as one another, and as well the Overlord figure does have indentations in his bone part of his armour. For the orbs on the shoulders, we'll be using a part from the Tactical Marine backpack set. This is quite good as we're using our own Tactical Marine parts, as we've got the ever-growing amount of Primaris taking over, but we'll be using a Tactical Marine backpack as it's quite a circular item. You can always use if you don't have any Tactical Marine backpacks, you can always use a skull and just cut the bottom off, as that fits around the same amount of space used and a circular object. You can use Millput and many other things, you just need a circular object for the stage. The video for how I made the cape was corrupted and lost actually, so you won't have it all, but the main thing you do for it is you get your Millput. In my case, I ran up a Millput, which is a two-part proxy, so you can use any other two-part epoxy, or you can use green stuff as an alternative to this, but I rolled it up into a ball and flattened it out into a correct-ish shape, and then towered it over the back of the model, and then just slowly sculpted it a teeny bit. I don't have any sculpting tools, I use my fingers, but I would advise not using your fingers, as you would have to sand over it so you get all those fingerprints off. But I then folded it into the correct spaces I wanted it, so it resembled that of a cape, and a big one, you know, when they tower down and there's little indentations in it, because later on I want to create gradients on this cape. Now, after it's all settled, this took me about, I left it for about a day to settle, so I was sure that it was settled and it was rock hard. Because you need to have a curing time for two-part epoxies, and I believe as well for green stuff. Now, after it's cured, you will move over to the next step, which is sanding the model down. Now, you sand it down, as I said earlier, to remove all fingerprints, and as well to make it smoother on the sections for later on in painting. Now, the problem with having a fingerprint is it's very difficult to sand all of it down, so you want to try and sand most of it down, but not sand the whole model off. During this stage as well, you can cut off sections that you believe shouldn't be there, or cut off sections that you don't want. Now, this is another stage that you can do that I didn't do myself, but you can always do to make it look more like Ainz Ooal, is add his arm parts on. Now, he has a cloth draping down from his arms. Now, you can always have that put on. And many other people who have done Ainz Ooal kit bashers have done that. I just don't think it looks that nice for my model in my case, but it's all up to the rule of cool and how you want your model to turn out. Now, this is how you get that sorted. If you've got any questions about how I sculpted it, please say in the comments. It did take me a couple of hours to work out how to do it, because it was my first time. But just say in the comments if you don't understand how I did the sculpting of it, and I will always help you out. After we've created the cape and got that all nicely sanded down and sorted, we'll be moving over to his hand. Now, what I wanted his hand to be like was him pointing in a direction as a powerful creature that he is. Now, how I created this was cutting down to the little gauntlet section on his bolter for his right arm, and then getting a primaris intercessor hand that's pointing in a direction, and super gluing, in my case I plastic glued it onto that region. Now remember, when you are cutting, we need the gauntlet to stay. It's a very nice and looking thing, and that's the main reason why we've got the model like this. Now you can, if the gauntlet does die or break, you can always get the intercessor kit, because they have the gauntlets as well, and you can cut one of those arms just to fit into place. But it will be another waste of a model if you do that. After that, we'll sand both sides down so that they've got a nice firm lock with one another, and it's not a bit of a bubbly thing a bobbly thing where it's quite difficult to get it stuck together. And we will have to add Millput or green stuff to get that seam line away. And that's all we need to do for this step. It's quite a quick and easy one. After completing the last step, we'll then move over to, this is one of the last steps now as well. We'll be moving over to this step, which is getting the orbs on the shoulders and the horns attached to them. Well, attaching the horns to the shoulder orbs, and as well attaching them all onto the shoulders together, just to make it look much nicer. As to me, this is what makes Ainz Ooal, the staff and the orbs, as I said before. Firstly, starting off with the orbs. What we'll be doing for this is we'll start off with putting Millput around the orbs, and this is to make them more circular and is to fill in all the gaps that are created. This is done because if it isn't that circular, it doesn't look like an orb, and we don't want a hexagon shape, a very peculiar looking object. It won't look nice. That's basically where I'm trying to go. After you've got that and it's all cured over time, this would probably take, because you're not using much Millput, give or say 3-4 hours. It won't take that long compared to making a staff and how long that takes to cure. After that's cured though, we'll then start to file it down to become much nicer and smooth. Get any fingerprints you've got all over the model, try and get those nicely filed down, and try and get the sides nicely done. You want to keep it circular, you don't want to remove the circularness and make it blocky. You want to make it smooth, not cut off ends. That's why we're using a file and we're not using sandpaper. But because I have a high grit sandpaper, I won't use it on this stage, but if you've got a low grit sandpaper, use a low grit instead. And you can use that for any of the other filing stages as a substitute if you don't have a file. After we've got the filing sorted, we'll now glue it onto the shoulders. Now the glue I used was super glue because there is Millput you're gluing it onto. Now if you don't know, plastic glue and plastic glue are made to connect with, plastic glue is made to connect with plastic on plastic contact, and it won't work if there is Millput and plastic, because those are different compounds, different objects. I forgot the chemical name for it, but different objects, and it won't correctly connect with each other and make a gloppy mess, and will easily break off and stuff like that. So we'll be using super glue to make a nice firm bond. After it's all got glued down and you've poked it a couple of times and not got that horrible super gluey stuff that you have to go and wash off quickly because it's horrible to keep on your hands, we'll then move over to connecting the horns to the shoulders. We'll connect the horns by super glue or plastic glue. If you've got Millput all over it, use super glue again. After they've stuck fully firm with one another and you've got it in the correct positions that you want, I've got one with the shoulder having the horn a teeny bit above the other one. You will then move over with Millput and quickly get those gaps cleaned up, so it's all nicely done. Moving over to the last step. With this step we'll need the staff, the primaris arm from an intercessor set, and the biker hand from the tactical marine biker set. Because the shoulder already has a section of the arm already made on it, you will be having to cut down the primaris arm a bit so that it doesn't look odd and grotesque, as it's a bit too big for the other arm. What we'll be using is the chaplain's staff that he gets in the primaris set already as a scale to use, and we'll cut it off around about the same scale as it is because we don't want it, again, too big or too small. We'll cut it off so that it looks good and doesn't look too out of place, just it fits in quite well. After the primaris arm has been cut, we will then go along and glue the staff Ainz Ooal onto the biker hand with super glue. Like with the cape video, I lost and got corrupted the staff, and I absolutely hate this, and I'm going to have to probably just make more precautions to not corrupting the good parts of the video. Again, like with the cape, if you want to know how to make the staff, please just say in the comments, or just say in the comments, just say in the comments if you want a tutorial on how to make it, or if you just want to ask me how I make it. It's quite a simple thing, it just revolves around some Millputs, I 3D printed something, and some just a metal rod. That's all you really need for it. After you've got the primaris arm cut and and gluing the Ainz Ooal staff onto the hand, we will then super glue the hand onto the arm so that it all looks very nice with each other. And after that's been done, you just need to pop on the chaplain's head. Now I haven't popped it on in this video because I'm going to be painting the chaplain head separately by myself, so I put it onto some sprue, so I'll just quickly do it myself, but in the next bit you'll be able to see it on and fully connected together. After you've done that now, give yourself a pat on the back. You have completed something that takes ages, the curing time of the Millput, but if this is your first time working with Millput and green stuff, give yourself a pat on the back and just have a little party, because this is a difficult mini to kit bash I found myself, because There's a lot of intricate details you need to keep. And then we'll move over to the difficult parts, which is creating a base, which will be the next video, and then moving over after that, which is the painting of it. Now the base you're going to see in a minute isn't the actual base, that's just a fill-in base I made. The actual one's going to be, I think it's 100mm by 100mm of a little town. That's quite a nice little base. You'll see that in the thumbnail, but the thumbnail base will be made next week, or the week after that, then painting after that. Thank you very much for watching this video. My name has been Teretrix Wargaming. I'm very sorry for blabbering on a minute ago and waffling, but do like my waffling. That's waffling right now. But thank you very much for watching this video. If it does mean a lot if you comment on the videos and like and subscribe, because it's always nice to see that some people are watching it. Again, have a nice day. This is Teretrix Wargaming out.